Hello lovely lot, my name is Max and welcome back to my YouTube channel and yet another Nottingham Forest match preview. We are back after that fantastic result midweek against Fulham, picking up a 1-0 win on our travels, meaning promotion to the Premier League is now in our own hands with the final 3 games of the season. We have to win all 3 of them to guarantee it. Didn't think I'd be saying that at the beginning of this season. Of course, as usual, before we get into the video, I've got a little bit of admin to get out of the way. We're going to spend some time talking about that Fulham result before talking about our match preview for this big home game, our final home game of the season against Swansea City. Of course, as usual, the time code for the Swansea preview will be left on screen, so you can skip forward to that if you're not interested in hearing me talk about that big Fulham game. Otherwise, let's talk about it. Let's dissect that Fulham result because it was massive. And of course, if you are new around here, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel whilst you are down there. And thank you so much for getting me to 500 subscribers. The last video banged, it's at like 2,500 views. I don't know what's happening. We hit like 50 extra subscribers just from that video alone. And again, thank you so much for getting me to 500 subscribers. Hopefully next season we can kick on and get even bigger and better, hopefully in the Premier League. So drop a like on this video and subscribe down below and join me on that journey. Without any further ado, let's talk about that Fulham game and what a result it was. Now then, what a result that ended up being. I did think our loss would probably end our chances for automatic promotion this season, but that win has, like I said, left it in our own hands. 3 points behind Bournemouth, the same goal difference, and with us playing each other next Tuesday, I mean, that is basically the goal shootout, the game shootout for us to get promotion to the Premier League. Lose that, we have to go into the playoffs. Our playoff place is guaranteed, but what a end to the season it would be to be automatically promoted to the Premier League. And the only goal of the day from Craven Cottage did come from Philip Zinkernagel, finishing off from a lovely little ball through by Sam Surridge from the left-hand side. A little bit of confusion in the defence for Fulham. They didn't really know what to do with it. The keeper got caught in no man's land, and eventually Zinkernagel was there to turn it in for a really big goal. And I've got to say, I'm starting to warm to the idea of keeping him next season. Despite the early goal, Forest spent pretty much the entirety of this game under the cosh, seeing only around 25% of the ball, Fulham seeing about 75% possession on the day, and us generating just 9 shots compared to 20 from Fulham. It is worth noting, however, that about half of Fulham's shots on the day did come from outside the box, and to be fair, both keepers made the same amount of saves with 5, meaning 5 shots on target apiece. And to be fair, both Marek Rodak and Brice Samba had fantastic games respectively for both sides. For me, man of the match on the day was Philip Zinkernagel, who gave it to Brice Samba. I'm pretty sure it was one of the defenders on the day for the Sky coverage, but for me, the Dane deserved the man of the match award and was probably one of the best players on the pitch for us. He took the most shots on the day for the Forest squad with 3, and obviously managed to score from one of those shots, and completed the second most dribbles in the squad behind Brennan with 2, and really just looked like one of our most competent attackers in that game. When we knew we weren't really going to be getting very much in the game, we had to be a bit scrappy. He was the perfect player for that kind of occasion. It did look like when he came off, he might have picked up a little injury. I'm hoping it's not too serious because I think he's going to be very important in these next few games. Like I said, his man of the match was more so for the importance of the goal rather than his performance on the day, because you could easily say that Brennan was really good on the day. All 3 centre-backs were really good. Brice Samba obviously had a fantastic game keeping the clean sheet, but that goal is so important for us, and I'm starting to warm to the idea of him staying beyond the end of this season. And it has been rumoured we are looking at maybe entertaining a bid towards Watford, but stays up in the air, doesn't it? It was a solid defensive display from the Reds on the day, keeping the clean sheet. It was great to see Steve Cook back in the squad as well, and so important that we managed to keep Fulham out. And I've got to say, it makes this game against Swansea we're going to talk about now very important. So with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Swansea City so far this season, because they've been one of the more interesting sides. They definitely have one of the most definitive styles of play, and their season has been pretty interesting to say the least. After back-to-back seasons reaching the playoffs under Steve Cooper over the course of the last couple of seasons, the two parted company in the summer, with former MK Dons coach Russell Martin brought in at the helm of the Swans. And he has really stamped his own style of play on Swansea this season, which we'll get into. to in a little bit, but it's not really gone all their way over the course of this season. At the time of recording, they currently sit in 14th position in the championship, although depending on results, I'm recording this on Thursday, it may have changed by the time you're seeing this. Despite their slight inconsistencies over the course of this season, there is a lot to be very positive about with this Swansea team. Their recent form has been fantastic, and the team is consisting of a lot of really exciting young talent, particularly up front and in the midfield. And it's definitely, like I say, a lot of reasons to be cheerful with this Swansea team. I would hope next season they can kick on and maybe push for the playoffs. I did also mention there their run of form at the moment. They are currently on the best run of form of any team in the championship, or at least the best unbeaten streak, having not lost in their last 6 games, although 4 of these results have actually been draws. They're definitely picking up a lot of draws in the back end of this season, including the most recent result, a 3-3 draw against Bournemouth, in which the Cherries came from 3-0 down to draw 3-3, a result that has me really ruined. That would have been really important for us. We would have closed that gap to just 1 point between 3rd and 2nd place in the championship. Nevertheless, we have our chance to catch up with Bournemouth with this game against Swansea. So one of the main themes really of Swansea City's season this year has been the inconsistencies, the ups and downs for the Swans. So let's talk a little bit about how those stats kind of match up to that. They've definitely had a lot of really good aspects in their squad. There's definitely a lot to be worried about potentially next season, or certainly rooms for improvement. Going forward, Swansea are really, really good. They've scored 57 goals in the championship this season, the 7th most in the division, and have one of the most formed goal scorers in the league in Yul Piraway. He scored 22 goals on his own this season and has been a big part for their attacking success. Despite this, they're not the most prolific side in front of goal in terms of chance creation. They don't create a huge amount of chances, is what I'm trying to say there. They only take around 11 shots per match, which ranks them about the same as a Hull or a Blackpool team, sort of occupying the lower third of the championship table. That being said, the percentage of the shots that they do take that end up being on target is really high. Of those 11 shots, around 4.5 of those per match average being on target, and they rank 3rd in the championship for shot on target percentage. To me, this suggests that they're a team who maybe are a little bit more patient, a little bit more meticulous in their build-up, and do look to get off higher quality opportunities rather than just shooting on sight like a lot of other teams do. Their defence, on the other hand, has not been that good this season. They've shipped 62 goals over the course of this season, meaning they have a negative goal difference, and have conceded the 7th most goals in the championship this season, similar to the likes of relegated Barnsley. In a similar vein though, they only concede around 11 shots per match, meaning that it doesn't really marry up with the amount of goals that they've conceded. A big part of the reason why for this is they concede a lot of shots on target. Around 38% of the shots that they concede are on target, which ranks them 2nd in the championship behind just Birmingham. Now, I believe the reason for this is probably because of how open and expansive the team is. They're probably playing quite a high line, and they probably get caught in transition quite quickly, get counter-attacked on, and obviously concede them high-quality opportunities. It's something you see with like a Liverpool or a Manchester City. That's why they have these high-quality goalkeepers in net, keepers who one-on-one, 9 times out of 10, you back them to save that opportunity. Alisson in particular is probably the best goalkeeper one-on-one in the world. And unfortunately, Swansea don't quite possess that quality between the sticks. Their keepers this season, they've had about 3 or 4 different keepers occupy the number 1 jersey over the course of this season, have averaged out around 67% save percentage, which is slightly below average, not quite disastrous, but a little bit below average, and certainly in a team where you are conceding quite a lot of shots on target, of high quality, you really want your keeper to be up in the 70s, and you want to be able to back them one-on-one against a striker. Sort of transitioning away from more style of play and substance, let's talk about their best player according to who scored this season, and according to them, it has been Yul Piraway with a 6.95 rating. And you can definitely see why this is. He's their top goal scorer in the league with 22 goals over the course of this season, and has the 2nd most assists in the Swan squad behind former Red Jamie Patterson. He also takes the most shots in the squad at around 2.5 per match, which For a player who's got 22 goals, may not sound like a lot of shots per match when you look at players like Harry Kane. They took close to 4 per match. We've got to remember, again, Swansea are a team that get very high quality opportunities in the opposition box, and that kind of marries up as to why he scored so many goals from so few opportunities. Overall, Swansea are a really good attacking side who seems to be pretty meticulous in their build-up, generating, yes, a low volume of shots, but shots that are of extremely high quality. On the other hand, their defence this season has let them down big time, conceding 62 goals over the course of this season, where they ship really high quality shots and don't have the quality between the sticks to save them. So with talking about their stats out of the way, let's talk a bit more about their substance on the field and what us Forest fans should expect from Swansea in this game, because it's very easy and very identifiable to see how Russell Martin wants the Swans to play this season. Firstly, Russell Martin has chosen to adopt predominantly a 3 at the back system for the majority of this season, and you can definitely see why. It gives a bit more synergy in the transition of managers. Steve Cooper, of course, a manager, very comfortable and more likely than not likely to use a 3 at the back system as well. Their focus is predominantly on maintaining possession. They average the highest possession per match in the Championship at around 64%, and they do this through very short and concise, sort of nippy little passes in the midfield, averaging the most short passes and passes in total per match in the Championship, and around 90% of their passes being less than 15 yards in length. For comparison, Forest only take around 80% of their shots, 80% of their passes less than 15 yards in distance. This possession, short passing play, positional play sort of system sees them be a little bit less direct than other teams that we've played perhaps in recent weeks, and a result of this can obviously be the opposition, ourselves in this case, being on the back foot for the majority of the match. So it's going to be important for us to capitalise on the opportunities that we actually get in the game, because there won't be a lot of them. Their defenders are all very comfortable on the ball, happy to help build out from the back, which is obviously a huge important aspect of a possession-based system, and their wide centre-backs in particular are very good at getting into the wide areas and stretching teams who choose to play in a more narrow system. So it'll be interesting to see how they line up against a very wide playing Forest team. They then play ahead of them a choice of 2 central midfielders. Matt Grimes is the man who's done the job most often this season. He plays in a pretty deep position, using his really good ball carrying ability and pretty good passing as well to progress the ball upfield, and he's definitely the passing hub of that team. He's the man who sets the tempo and is also able to sort of pull the ball upfield and sort of break the opposition press, and I think that's a really important part of the way in which they build up and construct attacks. It's going to be important for us to deal with that. Their fullbacks and wide centre-backs will then stretch the opposition, forcing them to play a little bit wider than perhaps they would like to. This offers more space in behind and in the half space, or making runs in between for the midfielders, and that really good front three. Speaking of which, their wide attackers actually operate more as sort of wide number 10s, inside forwards kind of players. They can drop deep into the midfield to add numbers and help bulk out the midfield, but they can also play sort of between the lines, pick the ball up on the half turn and drive the team forward to create opportunities as well. And Olivier Uncham and Jamie Patterson are usually the 2 players who adopt this role in the side. A really good alternative to this is their top goal scorer, Joel Pirouet, who has been probably their best player over the course of this season. He's able to be a little bit more aggressive than Patterson and Uncham, really pressing onto the back line and playing between the full-back and the widest centre-back, and that offers him the opportunity to then run in behind. It also means that the centre-backs can't step up and try and intercept play, because obviously that then leaves Joel Pirouet able to then run in behind them. With the lack of pace that Forest in particular have in their defence, it's going to be really important for us to block off his runs and sort of sweep up the danger he offers at the first time of asking, particularly down that right hand side where he usually likes to operate. I do back Scott McKenna, to be fair. He's probably the more mobile of our 2 centre-backs in the form of him and Worrell, and I do think he's probably the one I would prefer dealing with the more direct threat that Joel Pirouet offers down that right hand side. Another really important thing for us is to mark Matt Grimes. If he plays, he's the man who sits in that midfield and sort of dictates the tempo of the game, and is also probably the most progressive player in that midfield. He's really good at getting the ball forward, either by carrying it or by passing it, and so it's going to be really important for us to cut out those passing lanes into the front line and also mark him. And I would definitely see someone like Philip Zinkenagel doing a good job dropping into that number 10 position and just sort of sitting on him and buzzing about when he gets the ball. We should definitely look to play to our strengths in the wide areas areas, but also not get left exposed. I've mentioned quite a lot in this video that this Swansea team like to stretch their opposition by using the wide centre backs who can then push up and aid in build up. And I do think, especially if our wide centre backs get left exposed, we could be caused a few problems. So it's going to be important that both Colback and Spence fall back into position as and when they're required to. Overall, I do think we have the quality to come away with the win, despite what I've been saying in this video. I think 1 to 11, we probably have the majority of our team better than theirs. That being said, it is probably going to be one of our last big tests this season. It's going to be very important that we win all our individual battles on the day. I personally am going to go for a 2-1 win for the Reds. I do think going forward, they are too good to keep out. But defensively, I think they don't really have that much quality in defense compared to our attackers, and I do think we'd be able to cut them apart, particularly on the counter attack. Of course, as always though, let me know in that comment section down below what you think the scoreline predictions for this game is going to be and who you think the man of the match on the day will be. Like I said, a 2-1 result I think would be a very comfortable win for us, and hopefully come away with the 3 points and keep pace with Bournemouth at the top of the table. Hopefully though, we can do that. I'm cautiously optimistic. This is the first time as a Forest fan I'm seeing our team potentially get promoted to the Premier League, so hopefully we can see that happen. As always though, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel whilst you're down there. And with that being said, enjoy the game, Reds, enjoy your weekend. I will catch you later.